Hey, Mr. Wiedemer here from Mr. Wiedemer's History. Welcome to 10.3, the war in Europe and North Africa. Today we're going to talk about the European theater of World War II. Here we go. 10.3 objective. You guys be able to explain various operations of World War II in the European theater. Alright, first up, the battle for the Atlantic. Alright, Germany had this massive ship called Bismarck, who was just terrorizing the Allies in the Atlantic. Then Great Britain actually sunk that ship in 1941, and which led to Germany relying more heavily on the U-boats once again, just like in World War I. Alright, so German U-boats began having wolf packs and hunting at night. And from 1940 to 1941, the German U-boats enjoyed this tremendous success. They call it the happy time. It's a tremendous success of the U-boats, destroying ships, Allied ships all across the Atlantic. Right? And then the Allies began figuring it out. They formed convoys, which are armed fighting ships sailed at the edge of the convoy. So here's the ships that needed to cross the Atlantic, go on the Atlantic, and then we'll have armed escorts surrounding it. So it's be harder for the German U-boats to destroy these ships. Right? Aircraft flew above and helped spot the U-boats with radar. Right? Merchant ships sailed safely inside this nice little pocket, this convoy. Right? But what really helped the Allies defeat the U-boats was that we figured out the Germans' code. Alright? So, a few short months after Germany declared war on the United States, 360 American ships were sunk. There were just 8 German U-boats. U-boats just were going crazy. Alright, shipyards began producing ships at an amazing rate. This helped make better convoys and helped cut down on the effectiveness of the U-boat. Like I said, we broke Germany's code Enigma, and since we knew their code, we knew where the U-boats were going to be, we can avoid them, we can destroy them, and the rest is history. The U-boats were no longer effective, and German sailors started calling them the Iron Coffins, because once you go in a U-boat, you're not coming out alive. And by the end of the war, 70% of Germans who served in the subs were dead. Alright, the Iron Coffins. Alright, next up, war in Soviet Union. Yes, remember Hitler's non-aggression pact with Soviet Union? Well, Hitler wanted at all costs to avoid a two-front war. Well, so he had a non-aggression pact, so he takes care of the Western Europe, and now, since that's taken care of, now he can turn his attention to Soviet Union. He breaks the non-aggression pact with Stalin in 1941, and the Soviet Union immediately joined the Allies because they were wronged by Germany. Alright, so first Germany's Blitzkrieg tactics, this lightning war just running right through Soviets, rough shot, boom, 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 just taking care of business. Alright, but then winter came, and in the winter, you know how European guns and weapons work in the winter of Russia, alright? Remember Napoleon? Yeah, well, Hitler makes the exact same mistake Napoleon made, you know, a couple hundred years prior. He went to Russia to fight them in winter. Not a smart idea. And so German soldiers really couldn't handle the cold. Their equipment failed. Guns locked up. It was just terrible. Alright? Still, the Germans pressed on and got most of Eastern Europe by the time the winter onset, and then that was it for them. You see, the Nazis just came on through, rushing on through, and got a lot of the Soviet Union, all right, and the big Moscow and Stalingrad. All right, Battle of Stalingrad. This was the major battle in the East. Okay, it's fought in the city of Stalingrad. It was a major target for Germany because it was major military, major manufacturing, industrial center of the USSR. All right, and so Germans were going to attack Stalingrad, August 1942. Soviets refused to let Stalingrad fall. All right, Germans failed to take the city. After a counterattack, the Axis troops were forced to surrender to the Allies. So Hitler faces another crushing defeat in the East. And remember, Battle of Britain was his first defeat, and now he loses a major defeat in the Soviet Union at Stalingrad. Right? Marked the beginning of Germany's collapse in the Soviet Union. Losses were around 2 million people, but the Soviets lost about 12 million, except, you know, the Soviets have a ton of more soldiers. It's a large population. So one reason, remember, it takes so long to mobilize, because their population is so massive. And it's just lost about 12 million people. And they fought from street to street, building to building, floor to floor, room to room. This was an urban warfare right here, in the city. Alright? Stalingrad. Major Allied victory in the East in World War II. Alright? North Africa. You know, we think, oh, World War II, you think of Japan, you think of Germany. But America enters the war in North Africa, of all places. Alright, so the fall of France, Great Britain and Italy began to battle for North Africa. And so whoever controlled this controlled the shipping in the Mediterranean, which is very, very important. And so Hitler had sent troops to help Italy, and they're going to be led by Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox. He's going to be in charge of the Nazi troops in Africa. Alright, there he is right there. Alright, at the Battle of El Alamein, the British handed Germans another major defeat. Germany's just losing. Alright, Operation Torch. The United States entered a war in North Africa, like I said, led by Dwight D. Eisenhower, future President of the United States, military genius. Alright, plan called for U.S. forces to invade Morocco and Algeria in November 1942. These areas are under French Vichy leaders who were controlled by Germany. Basically, they are puppet leaders of Germany. Alright, the Allies met little resistance when they landed there, and turned east, fought major battles. 20,000 Americans were killed or wounded in 6 months in North Africa. Alright, but by May 1943, they helped defeat Rommel's forces, and the Allies won North Africa. Alright, next, we're going to Italy. July 1943, the Allies invaded Sicily. Roosevelt Churchill says, you want to live, you want to die. If you want to live, then you help us. If you want to die, continue supporting Mussolini and Hitler. What did Italians do? They turned their back on Mussolini, and they found him, kidnapped him, and hung him upside down to die. Yes, Mussolini's own people killed him because they chose life over, siding with him and Hitler. And the Tuskegee Airmen took part in the fighting here in North Africa. A very famous African-American fighting unit, Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, and the Tuskegee Airmen. Alright, its family in Anzio lasted for over 4 months. 25,000, 30,000 Allied soldiers have been killed or wounded in Italy. Alright, next, the largest invasion on the continent of Europe in history, D-Day. The invasion of France, the invasion of Normandy. Alright, and so this is called Operation Overlord, led by Dwight D. Eisenhower. Okay, the beaches of Normandy in northern France. Allies assembled a huge number of troops, weapons, and other equipment. Eisenhower commanded this, led by General Omar Bradley, led the American troops. We're going to invade the shores of France. We're taking France. Next, took North Africa. We took Italy. Now we're going on against France. Alright, Normandy, D-Day, June 6, 1944. Originally scheduled for June 5th, 1944. Weather did not cooperate, so they had to move it back a day to June 6, 1944. Game of soldiers parachuting behind German lines, ships rained shells on the coastline, aircraft provided cover, a variety of amphibious vehicles delivered equipment. Success came down to the courage of the individual soldiers, and they succeeded, partially because of the ghost war going on behind the scenes, where the Allies kind of tricked Hitler. They had fake tanks, fake aircraft, which is basically big blow-up versions of planes and tanks, and they had sound recordings of foot soldiers and tanks coming around, and so they tricked Hitler and tricked the Germans into thinking that they're attacking from somewhere else. And so Hitler didn't give his full forces to Normandy, which helped the Allies take the beach. Many Allies died storming the beach of Normandy, but they died for the good cause, died for freedom and democracy. And this, if we did not win at Normandy, the war could have been over right here. But we won at Normandy, and we just kept on pressing on towards Berlin. Alright, so fortunately, Germany was, like I said, slow to respond. Hitler thought it was a trick. Their invasion was somewhere else, thanks to our clever shadow war. Alright, despite its casualties, D-Day was a success. 10,000 Allied casualties, 6,000 Americans died on the beaches. Many died before they even got onto the beach. And by early July, the Allies landed almost 1 million soldiers. The Allies were now on the march to France. By the end of August, Paris had been freed from German control, and we're going to keep moving onward to Berlin. Onward to Berlin. Alright, Germany's now hightailing it out of there. But Here's the turning point of the war. This is where really, you know, December 16th, 1944, the Battle of the Bulge, Germany's last stand, you can call it. Alright? Germany caused a huge bulge in the Allies' line, but the Allies did not give up, did not surrender, kept pressing on, and the Allies won the Battle of the Bulge, the turning point of the war, Germany's last stand. Germany's now in retreat and are going to collapse. The war is almost inevitably over in the European theater. Alright, Bastogne, it's an important crossroads. Alright, Germany's pretty determined to take it. Alright, that's what happened in the Battle of the Bulge. You see the bulge in the line, Germany was trying to push back, giving them everything they got. But it wasn't enough because the Allies are going to break through and win. Small American force even more determined than the Germans, fighting for their livelihood. Alright, surrounded by German soldiers below zero temperatures, low supplies. America's clung to survival. Just a few we had to survive. We had to survive. And they clung to survival until George Patton came to the rescue on December 26th. Gave them the supplies they needed, gave them the relief, gave them the help needed to defeat the Germans in the Battle of the Bulge. Thank you, George Patton. And the Allies were victorious. Alright? This is American strength and determination. We will not give up. We will not give up. We will not surrender. And in January 1945, the Allies set their sight on Germany. Victory was ours! But the bombing of Dresden, this is probably one of the most controversial topics of World War II, where Dresden was a refugee city. It was pretty much untouched, beautiful city. But the Allies, you know, promising the Soviet Union that they'll make a way for the Soviets to head to Berlin. They're going to just firebomb city after city after city. And Dresden just happened to be in the way. It's controversial because Dresden has no strategic importance to Germany. Why do we bomb it? But the Allies did anyways. And used firebombs. Nearly the entire city burned. Over 100,000 people dead. For really no reason. Many women, children, refugees, innocent people dead. Kurt Vonnegut, he was a prisoner of war in a slaughterhouse in Dresden while the bombings were going off. And so that's why he wrote the book Slaughterhouse 5, one of the most famous books in history of the 20th century. Slaughterhouse 5, Kurt Vonnegut. And it was just really not a good thing the Allies did here. It's a very controversial part of history, the bombing of Dresden. Alright, March to Berlin. Is the Soviet Union or the Allies? Who's going to get it first? The United States, Soviet Union? Well, we allowed the Soviet Union to get to Berlin first. Why? Well, because Eisenhower didn't like the Soviet Union, and he knew the Germans were going to fight to death, so the Soviet Unions got there first. They can slaughter all the Soviet Unions. Soviet Union can wear down the Germans, and the Allies, you know, the Americans come in and finish it up. And so, hey, let's let Soviets die. That's what Eisenhower thought. Also, Soviets promised, hey, if you let us in here, we'll free elections and all this good stuff. You know, and by letting the Soviets into Berlin first, it proves dire consequences when it comes to the Cold War. And then the next 20 years afterwards, and I mean, the whole rest of the 20th century, really affected by this single act by Eisenhower. Alright, lesson review. Things were not going well for the Allies at the start of the war. Winning the war largely depended on the ability to control the seas, which is hard to do with the U-boats running ramshot. But we had convoys, we figured out their code, and we broke it, and we took the Atlantic. Germany used a tactic called Blitzkrieg and just rammed through the Soviet Union. Hitler again lost, time in Stalingrad. German forces in North Africa, led by Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox. He was defeated there as well. The Allies defeated Rommel's forces, then defeated Mussolini. Italy, when his own people turned on him because they chose life over rule of him and Hitler. D-Day, June 6, 1944, the single largest invasion of European soil in history. Allied invasion, we defeated Hitler's forces moving east, very successful. Won Battle of Bulge, which was Germany's last-ditch effort. With the help of the U.S., plentiful resources, Germany was on the run. Allies allowed the USSR to get to Berlin first. This would have lasting consequences throughout the rest of the 20th century. Alright, so until next time, Mr. Winmer here, study history.